650 KTRS St. Louis Talk. Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement, your live and local St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Aaron Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services, financial planner and wealth manager, and I'm joined this week and every single week by my dad, Jeff Lapidus, wealth manager and retirement coach, and my husband, Robert Markham, our life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
Good morning.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning. We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan with several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate.
Second is to provide an income stream they can rely on so they can do all the things they want in retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, without Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Aaron, Rob, and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Well, gang, again, good morning. I heard it's a little cool, a little snow out in St. Louis this morning.
Yeah, we got some flurries, but luckily, because it's so cold, it's like powder. You could literally take the leaf blower out there and clean off the drive. So
at least in Mid-County, that's how it is for now.
Nothing heavy, nothing wet.
If I could send you 63 degrees this morning, I would. We're going to 72, and I'm going to have a little fun this afternoon. So stay warm, but this is a perfect day to take in our 2-hour show, right?
That's right. It's also a perfect day to give us a call if you have questions. 314-931-5877 or 84126 on the text line. I think last week we spent the entire show answering your calls and texts, and we wouldn't be upset if that's how this show went this week.
Oh, we love to be engaged by our callers and listeners. It really makes our time fly, and like Jeff likes to say, it's we love to talk about what's on our mind, but what's more important is what's on their mind.
That's right.
Exactly. And again, there are also lots of other ways you can keep in touch with us during the week, and many folks do that by scheduling coaching sessions with us, either for Medicare or financial planning or both. And let's talk about some of those other ways you can keep in touch with us.
That's right. Just log on to our website. You can click on the Contact Us button, jblfinancial.com. On the Contact Us button, you can request that coaching session, financial, Medicare, or both. Or there's a pop-up box that appears that says sign up for our monthly newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner, and Rob keeps the last year and a half archive for you. But it's a moderately new newsletter for January.
Yeah, it's a couple weeks old, but it still checks out. And we got some great articles in our January 2026 newsletter for your perusal. First one being, how will AI transform the workplace? Employers weigh in. Rapid developments in AI have left workers wondering when their jobs might be significantly affected or even eliminated. Almost 90% of workers across the globe expect these changes by 2030, and our infographic has some great little survey results, and between 69 and 77% expect that they'll either be reskilled and rehiring workers that are let go to work alongside AI, or they'll be hiring new people skilled in AI to design AI tools and enhancements, which is pretty wild when you think about it, because these are technologies that didn't exist relatively recently, like 5 minutes ago.
I think that we are still on the precipice of how AI is going to transform not just the economy, but our lives. And I was listening to, or maybe I was reading, it was a quote, someone was quoting Elon Musk, who was talking about how AI has the power to not only, we're looking at some of the negative things. What are we going to lose through the creation and the implementation of AI tools? But, Elon Musk, that relatively forward thinker, one of the thinks that not only is it going to revolutionize the economy and the way that we live our lives, but it's really going to create a lot more productivity, so much to the point that we can't even imagine it yet. So I'm going to take the positive approach on AI and say, we might be losing some things from the past, but hopefully we'll be gaining much more.
Absolutely. And one of the fascinating things, every time we pass a Tesla on the road, what do I say?
Oh my gosh, with the self-driving, it's hard to believe that's real.
It's one of the few innovations I've really seen in the last, say, 15 years, especially in cars. That is like a game changer.
It's like the car, literally, I've watched so many, like we were in one when we were in Pittsburgh for our visit, where it drove itself.
Very surreal experience.
Yep.
And, just the idea that you could sit, this is like science fiction from the 50s.
Right. Well, where's the jetpack?
And our next article, Keeping Cool in Volatile Markets. This is a great article with some words of wisdom when it comes to staying the course in volatile markets. And what I love about this article is it draws examples of staying the course from very recent history. And I don't mean COVID. I mean like 6 months ago with the tariff announcement. And people don't realize that, after April 2nd, when the president announced Liberation Day, the markets fell between 9 and 11% the very next day.
Right.
And if you sold in that moment of volatility, 1 week later, the market recovered almost 10% in a day.
Right.
So this article is a great refresher on why we want to stay invested for the long term, why we don't want to trade according to the news cycle. And, we were talking about this on the ride in. Volatility is the market's way of putting the things that you love on sale.
You just have to be brave enough to buy them.
And it's a crazy way of looking at it because on the one hand, your portfolio could be down 20 or 30%.
In a pretty significant situation, yes.
But everything that you love in your portfolio that you'd love to have more of is now on sale by 20 or 30%. So volatility is really, as your dad would say, the market's way of repricing and rebalancing your portfolio.
And that's a good point, and we always have to look at it from the perspective of the individual investor, because for the majority of the individuals that we work with, the contribution portion of their investing career is generally over. We're looking at preserving, protecting, and prudently growing those assets while we design a distribution strategy that keeps those things in mind. We want to continue to prudently grow and protect those assets. But for those of you that are still contributing, when we do see pullbacks, this is an excellent time. We talk about this frequently in the midst of those pullbacks, which is, in many cases, you don't necessarily have to do much, which is maybe we keep the things that you already own in your portfolio if you're confident in saying, hey, I'm going to stay the course. Maybe you're adjusting where your new contributions are going to meet Rob's comment, which is the stuff you own you like, but now there's new stuff and it's on sale. Maybe you want to redirect those contributions there or your future investing, depending upon where you're doing that. So there are a lot of options when the market's down. It's all not necessarily negative.
No, and if you are following a strategy that's in line with your risk tolerance, your time horizon, and your goals over the long term, you should be fine.
It's a great opportunity.
Absolutely.
As opposed to a
there's one company
crisis event.
There's one company I'm thinking of, a fairly well-known tech company that, it was about $150 a share, and right after this announcement, it dropped all the way to about $80.
Right.
And now it's $180. So, volatility is the price you pay for the opportunity to capture some of those gains.
Well, right, and we always have to keep in mind volatility isn't necessarily a reflection, and usually it's not a reflection on the ability of a company, the skills, the revenue. It's usually those are reactions. Again, Dad, as if you weren't even here. Also, what my dad likes to say is markets based on expectations. So when we see pullbacks, we're looking at what expectations are. We're not necessarily looking at what the reality of the profitability of those companies are that are taking the hits.
Agreed.
All right.
Well then, moving on.
And our next article, I thought this was a great one to throw in, given our insane interest from the listeners and the callers at the end of last year. This is a Q&A on RMDs. This article will fill in any knowledge gaps you may have regarding, as Jeff likes to say, a lot of the youngsters out there are approaching RMD eligibility. This article has got you covered, and it covers the basics, like what is a required minimum distribution, which accounts are subject to RMDs, how much have you got to withdraw, what does the tax picture look like when you execute an RMD. This article will cover you from A to Z, and any gaps in knowledge that you have will certainly be illuminated.
Right, and at the very least, it's going to give you some ideas to chat with if you're our client, with us, or if you have an advisor to say, hey, I'm getting close, here are some thoughts.
And one thing I did snicker at, there is a little infographic up in the right-hand corner, and it says, another tax strategy, consider Roth conversions. And I just kind of snickered when I saw that.
Oh, you're just taunting my dad through all
it's not
mediums.
Me. It's not
through
me.
all mediums.
And our last article, don't take the bait. Top tax scams for 2025. As tax season approaches, the IRS is warning taxpayers to watch out for scams that can cause identity theft, financial loss, or even criminal penalties. And they've got their dirty dozen of the top 12 listed here. One I want to highlight is bad social media advice. Social media platforms circulate inaccurate tax tips that can lead to improper filings or the disclosure of personal information. Want to be careful with what we take from social media. There's no editor on the internet, and so people can say just about anything there, and what we need to do is not take it as gospel.
That's a great point. And just this morning, this is not a tax scam, but so oftentimes we are tested, the broker-dealer runs a little test for us on phishing emails to see if we are paying attention. You're not clicking on things you shouldn't, opening up Trojan horses. You're not paying bills you shouldn't, giving out your personal information. Just this morning, they are very creative because it said that we had missed a payment for one of our licenses and that it was about to be terminated. And I'm looking at the email, and the email address, it didn't come from FINRA or our broker-dealer LPL or the SEC.
Came from Joe Doe.
Right, nor did it come from, the licensing bureau of any particular state. It just came from @gmail.com. I don't think this is valid. So there are just a proliferation of varieties of ways that people that are looking to get at your bank accounts and your money and maybe your personal information to file tax returns can utilize. So just be very vigilant, especially in this age where we're doing things rapidly on your phone. You're taking a look at something, I got to pay this, just clicking on things.
Ha, scammers, I don't check my email. Can't get at me.
I don't even have email on my phone. All right, well.
And that is the January 2026 newsletter. And just as a reminder, we do keep the last 18 months archived for your reading and download perusal. So by all means, hit up the website and suck down all that content.
That would be wonderful. And also, as a reminder, all of our clients are folks like you. They're our listeners. They're 55 and older. They would like to retire, or they're already retired. And as Aaron mentioned, our goal is to create a game plan for them so they can have a fun, financially secure retirement.
That's right.
And our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877, or 84126 from the text line. In my own words, I love to say, we always have a lot of things on our mind. What's more important is what's on yours. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you again at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the usually hot and heavy KTRS text line.
And before we get into our topics of the day, already have a texter on the line.
We do. And our first texter of the day writes, my husband is taking his first RMD this year. Can the taxes for that RMD be taken out of the RMD, or does he need to take out extra money to pay the feds and state taxes? Thanks.
Great news. Unless you are in need of more money than the net distribution of your required minimum distribution, you do not have to take more. So when you receive your communications from the custodians of your husband's accounts that say this is the dollar amount that needs to be taken, that is the gross amount. So you can then take taxes out of that amount, send them off to the state and federal government if you're in Missouri, or just the federal government if you're in Illinois, and you receive the net amount as long as the net plus the taxes that you withheld equal that gross amount that you are required to take based on what the custodian told you. You'll be in great shape. So you don't have to take out in addition to.
Yes, and your custodian should give you the opportunity to permit them to withhold the taxes for you, as it is for us and all of our clients. And we heartily recommend that they permit us to do it so they don't have to go off and make quarterly withholdings. Now,
Yes.
if you don't feel that way, you prefer to pay Uncle Sam in your own way, it's all good. But again, you can have this set up. It can be set up automatically for you. And again, the taxes will be withheld to follow the distribution strategy that you choose, whether it's monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, taken in lumps, whatever it is. It's all good.
And you make a great point with on that, Dad. The other thing that I would mention is you can go the exact opposite direction, which is you can have a larger amount of your required minimum distribution withheld for taxes. So let's say that you retired and that maybe you are not doing any withholding from Social Security, or you're not withholding from pension, and you've had to pay quarterly taxes in the past and you didn't feel like dealing with getting taxes withheld from those other places. You can use your required minimum distribution to prepay some of those taxes, which might alleviate the need for quarterly withholdings. Obviously, you're going to want to work with whomever you worked with to set up your quarterly payment schedule to determine if you're going to be able to withhold enough to alleviate quarterly withholdings. But you do have a lot of options once you become required minimum distribution eligible.
You know, honey, I think that's a very good point. And it is very often that our clients don't elect to have federal income taxes withheld from their Social Security because it isn't an easy thing. It's a two-step process. It's not an easy thing to do. They don't permit you to do it automatically when you make your election. At the same time, we have had several years of positive returns in the markets. And for many folks, if they have accounts that are after-tax accounts, like TOD accounts or trust accounts, they may have seen large short-term and or long-term capital gains. And unfortunately, we can't withhold for those. And typically, we don't know what those are until the end of the year. And so we believe, at least the way we use it, is we find that the withholding function from our clients' IRAs is really the fudge factor in their planning, where they're having an event, we can withhold more. Or with some of our clients, we've actually withheld the entire RMD, sent it in taxes to cover taxes in other areas. So,
and Dad, wouldn't you say that as you, at least I think I've noticed this over the years, as the volatility has increased in the markets, it has created an increase in short and long-term capital gains in after-tax accounts, not necessarily because we're making trades in accounts, creating those long and short-term capital gains, but many times if you were holding mutual funds in those after-tax accounts, they are creating some pass-through capital gains that you're going to have to deal with, even if you didn't sell the security itself, because you get to participate in what the fund managers have purchased and sold over the course of the year. So I feel like I've seen those 1099 increase over the last 5-6 years.
Well, you're right. And for most folks, what they do is, and smartly, I believe, is that when they're getting dividends or interest or short-term and long-term capital gains, they're automatically reinvesting those gains.
Right.
They're not taking those gains in cash. So therefore, they really don't have the money to pay the taxes associated with those as compared to, doing it the other way. So I was going to say, again, it's smart to use the facilities that you have available to you, especially when it comes to withholding taxes. And really, that's no different than if you have a mortgage. Most folks, if they're smart and they have a loan, they're escrowing their taxes because they don't have to worry about coming up with large lump sums at specific times. As they're making their payments, they're making those tax payments. We know that they always end up being correct. And so simplify your life. Use the facilities available to you.
I like that. You know what else I like? The text line is just lighting up.
And we love it.
Yes.
It's humming. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Let's take one more text, and then we'll take our break, and then we'll come back for the deluge of additional text we've received.
Right. And our next texter writes, how old do you need to be to have to take an RMD?
So let's talk about your own personal required minimum distributions. How old is that age?
Your own personal?
Yeah.
59 and a half.
No, 73, right?
Oh,
required minimum distribution.
Yeah, 73.
All right, so you have to be 73 years. So you are when you are required to take money from your traditional IRA account, it's going to be 73 the year that you turn.
The year you turn, so right.
Thank you. Because you can, so for example, we have many clients that are turning 73 this year. Some have already called even before we've finished calculating their numbers to say, hey, I'm turning 73. What's my required minimum distribution and can I have it? Already sent them out to a couple of people. They haven't turned 73 yet. That's okay, because as long as it's the year that you turn 73, you can start to take those distributions and they will count towards your accumulative number once you get to December 31st.
So, for instance, someone has a birthday in, say, May.
If they took a distribution on Tuesday,
they're good to go.
That's right. So you just have to have met the number that your custodians have reflected to you by December 31st of that year. Secondarily, if you inherit an IRA account, you could be any age and need to start taking required minimum distributions, correct? Well, any age over 18.
When you inherit an IRA, if they're on an RMD schedule, you've inherited their RMD schedule as well.
That's right.
And you do need to begin to take those the year after their date of death.
That's right. But also, if you are someone let's see how complicated these things could get so quickly. If you're the individual managing the distribution of the estate, you want to make sure the person that passed away took their full RMD for the year they passed away. Then you're required.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, you're right, honey. I'm just going to complete what you said. And then you make sure they've taken theirs. And then what happens is in that next year, that's when you have to begin to take yours.
Right. So if it's your own personal account, 73 is the current age. If you were born after January 1st, 1960, 75 is your current age. Now, those can be adjusted. We've seen them adjusted multiple times over the last several years.
We'll probably definitely see them adjusted again.
Well, this is it seems like, Dad, tell me your thoughts on this. Which is, it seems like Congress picks up a new toy every once in a while, and this is the thing that they're and this is the toy they have in their hands right now, because we went almost 2 decades without modifications to the 70 and a half required minimum distribution age, and then several years it's been adjusted from 70 and a half to 72 to 73, now to 75. So
it's not unreasonable to think that at some future point it could be adjusted again.
Right, or they'll forget about it for another 20 years. So,
well, again, all I would say here is that look, the people that are in Congress aren't youngsters either. And so what they're they're not. So what
That's a
happens
good
is they're
point.
beginning to realize that they're working longer. The leaders that we have are older. I mean, who would imagine, electing a president at age 78?
He's already taken required minimum distributions, and he's still getting paid.
Well, that's right. So I think it makes sense that Congress is facing the reality that people are living longer. We know that they're working longer. And that being the case, I think the big deal here is, at least for most folks, especially if you're not an owner of a company and you're working past the age of, you're working into your 70s because, frankly, you want to do so, that you're not subject to required minimum distributions until you quit. You can still continue to work. So really what they've done is they've taken the old rules and they just really extended the life of that, giving people a little bit more time to take it, which seems like, okay, great. So now they're going to get their taxes later. But then, of course, the Secure Act, because of the way folks that inherit these IRAs after death, now Uncle Sam's taken that from over their lifetime to 10 years.
I wonder if we could have
half dozen of the other.
I wonder if we could get hold of the actuary math that was probably like, well, if we move the age up 2 years, then that's 2 more years of potential growth inside of these accounts. So how much more are we going to get out from the same I'm sure there was some sort of break even there. They didn't just randomly choose these ages. At least that's what you would hope, right?
We would hope.
Well, these it's a math problem. You're right, honey. And again, it's based on projections. I mean, when you consider the fact that, look at how many folks died of COVID.
Right.
I mean, in normal actuarial thinking, those events, those black swan events, those earthquake, et cetera, events aren't really planned for.
Right.
So, again, I think a lot of it is, truthfully, I think the people that are making the laws are getting older. They're going, I don't want to take money out of here this fast. I don't really need to. And that's why I think, the next level of Social Security changes is going to be seeing that we're going to end up pushing the normal retirement age, again, back towards age 70, which, again, only doesn't really change stuff for most people, except for those that are currently actively working, because they have limitations on how much they can work before there's a Social Security take back. So, one of the fun things is that, and I would say this is almost the same thing with AI. We're in a dynamic society. I mean, we're going through lots of changes, and whether it's health-wise, whether it's AI, et cetera, what a great time to be alive, I'd love to be alive in a time during change versus same old, same old.
I agree. And you know what else? I think we should, as I promised, take our first break of this hour. When we get back, we've got quite a few more text questions to get to. So if you have something on your mind, please send us a text, 84126, or give us a call, 314-931-5877. We'll get you on there right after these messages.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Dan Lang. Join me for Animal Talk every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3 on the Big 550 KTRS, the Animal Talk of St. Louis.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Hey, it's Heidi, and I've only sold 2 houses, but I know how stressful it can be. I also know the team at Lauren Risley Realty makes the entire process as easy as possible. I watched Lauren work with friends and my parents, and I can say she is top-notch. She doesn't just know the market, she knows what to look for in a home, and that includes red flags. And through all of it, she is calm, cool, and kind. So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, or if you just have a question, call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684, or go to LaurenRisleyRealty.com.
Mom, what do you always say? There's nothing sadder than jewelry that sits in a drawer.
That's why we are proud to offer jewelry repair on site at Newstetter's Fine Jewelry. We know that your jewelry is important to you, and we take that part of our job very seriously. Visit us at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend or learn more at wowdiamonds.com.
Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Lang. Join me every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3 on the Big 550 for Animal Talk, where I talk about everything regarding dogs, cats, and other domestic animals. Topics include nutrition, training, medical checkups, special guests show up now and then, and of course, I'll answer your questions. So join me every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3 for Animal Talk on the Big 550 KTRS, the Animal Talk of St. Louis.
This is KTRS St. Louis, the Big 550, and KTRS.com. Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Welcome back to the show. It's 9:36 here on the Big 550 KTRS, Talk Radio St. Louis. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Aaron Lapidus, the retirement coach.
And I'm Robert Markham, your life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
And we are willing, waiting, and wanting to answer your questions and texts at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the hot and heavy KTRS text line.
And it is very hot and it is very heavy, and we are going to had to adjust the screen. And we're going to get to our next one. And our next texter writes, "Good morning, everyone. Once you begin to withdraw your required minimum distribution, what is the best thing to do with the money withdrawn in addition to paying the taxes?" You know, this is a very interesting question because I literally just had this discussion with my dad 2 days ago, and he's got to take his required minimum distribution. I've already given him the amount that he has to take, and he's on the fence as to what to do with the money. So I'm like, hey, Dad, you don't know what you want to do with this money yet, so why don't we just drop it into an after-tax account for you, get it reinvested the way you're already invested, and then at such time as you decide that you need the money to either complete a project that you're working on, maybe you've got some bills, whatever the case is, we can then send you the money then. I mean, I think that's a pretty decent idea. That's why I suggested it to him.
Well, you know, there are some other things that many of our clients do with their money. Real estate taxes are something that's usually due at the end of the next calendar year, and many of our clients time their required minimum distribution to pay those taxes as a way to save them from having to sock away money during the year, especially if their mortgage is paid. It also isn't unusual that our clients have other events, right, babe?
Oh, absolutely. There's other things that they've been planning on. Maybe there's weddings coming up. There's big trips they'd like to take. Sometimes it's simple as enhancing their lifestyle. They'd like to add a little bit to their monthly distributions, and this gives them the opportunity. I think the one thing I would want to point out is that many people, we have this conversation frequently because in addition to, do I have enough to retire? What type of health care am I going to have in retirement? Required minimum distributions are another looming topic. And most people are under the impression it's this large amount of money that you're going to have to take that you've never taken before that's going to throw your taxes off. We find that the vast majority, not all, but a very large majority of our clients are already taking monthly distributions from their retirement accounts. They're already working towards hitting that required minimum distribution number because remember, this is not in addition to, this is just the total that you must take now for the year. Before you got to 73, the government said at 59.5, you can take as much or as little as you want. You're now in the window, 59.5 to 73. It's your choice. Once we get to 73, you can still take as much as you want, but now we've put a floor on the minimum that you are required to take But if you're already doing that, you don't have to do any more. So if you're one of the luckier people that doesn't need the income from their retirement account or doesn't need their full required minimum distribution, we've also seen clients starting to plan for their family's future, maybe investing for their grandchildren in after-tax accounts using these funds. Sometimes if 529 plans have already been created, this is a place where we're pulling some additional money. You know, you're not going to get a tax break on those things, but it is a way to spend the money, so to speak, or to put it in the places that you want it. You weren't able to contribute as heavily in the past. Now you might have the opportunity to enhance that or turn the temperature up a little bit. And
one thing I would say about people just getting their first time RMD notice, like, hey, you've got to take this amount. Mm-hmm. The custodian is not going to say, hey, I see you're already satisfying 80% of this required minimum distribution. They're not going to say that. So when you get that notice, you may think, oh my gosh, in addition to the $800 that I have Jeff and Aaron sending me every month, now they tell me I have to take another $8,000. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Right. Not the case. But the way the letter is formatted, you could read it and then, reach that conclusion. So just wanted to add that in.
I was going to say, and we have a very nice big example of a coaching session that if we have a chance to, mm-hmm. We're going to get to a little bit later this morning to talk about our friends Joe and Sally.
Yes, and I honestly don't know if we're going to get there because the texts keep rolling in. So I also would say, just to round that out, the very last thing that we see many of our clients doing is taking a portion, if not all, just like my father-in-law, taking the money, paying the taxes, and reinvesting the net proceeds from that required minimum distribution and saying, hey, eventually I might need some of this or maybe I don't. I've met the requirement, just going to get it reinvested elsewhere in my portfolio outside of the IRA account and use it as a slush fund down the road.
Lots of options.
That's funny. I thought you were going to say that you and your sister show up at my doorstep and say, Dad, it's better to give than to receive.
I was
you don't need the dough, send it over here, baby.
You have like 100 more years to go before you get to required minimum distribution age, so I was just going to leave that as as a surprise.
Only 5. I hate to tell you, just 5.
Oh, right. And our next text.
Only 5 years to go. 73. Wow.
Doesn't look a day over 50.
It'll be nice to be a grown up someday. So let's go.
I love that line. He said that. Oh, you youngsters out there. That's great. And our next texter writes, can you please clarify when a person over 60 is all clear to take any money out of a Roth IRA, including conversions, without penalty or taxes? Do you have to wait 5 years for every year you do a conversion, even if you started contributing to a Roth 7 years ago? We did a conversion in 2025 over 60 and have contributed to a Roth 7 years ago. Do we still have to wait an additional 5 years? Thank you.
No, as long as the Roth that as long as you created a single Roth and you have been making those contributions to that Roth. Now, maybe if you transferred those assets between custodians, that's okay, but let's say it's the original Roth you created 7 years ago and made your first contribution. That is when the 5-year clock began. Then you met the second requirement, which is you need to be over 59 and a half. So now you are free to start making withdrawals from your account. You do not have to. Each contribution does not have its own 5-year waiting period. It's the initial contribution, not the day you opened the account, but the day the account was funded is the first day when the 5-year clock begins. But I silence everyone?
Waiting for me to say why. And I'm not going to go there today. But the only thing I would suggest is
they already did it.
What's more important? Well, what's more important to consider is: are you currently actively at work while you're doing this? If you're going to go through this exercise, I would certainly wait until you're in a lower federal income tax bracket, i.e., not receiving your current wages, to take advantage of the tax law, as compared to doing it during your prime earning years.
I know you're just chomping at the bit, but they've already done the conversions. It's over.
Hey, it's okay with me, but I'm just saying for future ones, yeah. I mean, be smart and do it when you're in a lower tax bracket.
All right.
Be smart. Get a second pair or even a third pair of eyes on these decisions before you make them, is what I would say. You don't have to take the advice. It's just nice to, have a full view of the field, and you can't, you don't want to make these decisions in a vacuum, and you want to see every angle that is out there. So it never hurts to get a second or third opinion.
We got to rename the show. It's going to be like, we'll need your assistance with this. Something about Roth conversions, Dad.
I would call it Roth perversions, but it's okay.
From 9 to 11 on KTRS. 2 full hours of it. All right.
And so what's our next text?
Our next one, Rob? Our next texter writes, can you please spend a few minutes to review what a high deductible Plan G is and when it could be a great idea for early retirees? Also, can you pay with HSA funds if you have any sitting around? Well, the great news is that you certainly can pay with HSA funds if you have any. That's certainly doable. As far as a high deductible Plan G, I'm not a big fan of high deductible Plan Gs. But
first, before we get into your, gosh, this is like the what we don't like hour. Before we get into your opinion, why don't we just give a quick overview of what the high deductible Plan G is? So most people are very familiar with the Medigap or the supplemental policies. They're lettered A through L. They have a varying degree of benefits based on the plan that you elect. Plan F was the gold standard, so to speak, because it covered 100% of everything that Medicare Part A and B did not cover for you. That was discontinued when the Affordable Care Act was enacted. So then the new gold standard became Plan G, which the only thing not covered for you that is covered under Medicare, so as long as it's a Medicare-covered service, the only thing that was not covered was your Medicare Part B deductible.
Which this year is $288.
So if you have
pay the $288 and then you don't see another bill.
That's right.
Except for your premium, of course.
And your prescription drugs.
Correct.
So everything you do that's medically related, not your prescriptions, once you pay $288 this year, if you happen to have a Plan G, you hit the $288. You don't pay co-pays, co-insurance, visits to the doctor. You don't pay any of those things anymore. Just when you're picking up your prescriptions, if you have any that have co-pays, you would pay those. And then you're done. You have no network because Medicare is now your network. You can see anyone you'd like, no referrals. Now, the high deductible Plan G is a little bit different, right?
It's marrying a high deductible.
Mm-hmm.
So, we talked about that $288 that you had to satisfy under Plan G, and then you didn't see another bill. With a high deductible plan, you have to satisfy that deductible first.
Which is about $2,800. I think it's $2,870. So just like the $288 deductible you had to satisfy, if you have a high deductible Plan G, you have to satisfy the $2,800 deductible first.
So it's roughly 10 times what the $288 is on a Plan G. But in addition to that, you also have the premium.
Now, is the premium 10 times less expensive?
It is not.
No, so we haven't sold many high deductible Plan Gs in the last several months, especially because we're looking at, during annual enrollment, we're usually focused a lot on the Medicare Advantage plan. But I just did a quick look for 2026, what the average premium is. So if you're a female turning 65 in St. Louis County, you're going to pay about $60 a month for a high deductible Plan G. How much is a Plan G normally, not with a high deductible?
Anywhere between $170 and $200.
Okay, so let's take the lower number. So you're going to spend instead of spending $170, you'll spend $60, so you save $110 a month.
For nice round numbers, we'll say that's a $1,200 savings over 12 months.
Right. So you saved $1,300, but you still are going to owe $2,800, and that's through copay. That's through copays, coinsurance, and it's really not. It's more like coinsurance because you're going to pay the contracted rate when you're visiting physicians, not copays. So not $10, $20, but.
So
could be hundreds.
Between the premium and the deductible, and we're putting Part D off to the side. You know you have to have a Part D plan, and you know that's going to cost you some amount of premium. So between those two, you're looking at
60 times
about $4,000.
Right, because $60 times 12
So
plus
if
the
you,
2,800.
My thing is, if you're willing to spend $4,000, why not just have a regular Plan G? Because you end up at basically the same place. You might even come out a little bit ahead with a traditional Plan G.
Sure. I don't disagree with that. Also, it's going to be, if you live in Missouri, you do have the opportunity to make a switch every year on your anniversary date, but if to another high deductible plan. But, you might end up feeling like you're in a trap now because you took the high deductible plan. That premium's going to keep going up, not as rapidly as the other plans. But
you are on an escalator.
Right. And then that high deductible number goes up every year, too. So now you're in a situation where you're paying a higher premium, you have a higher liability, you might feel like now you're forced to say Medicare Advantage is my only option to make a switch in the future unless you're going to go through medical underwriting to get another letter under the supplements. So that's why it's important to sit down with someone and kind of review what your options are, because you could talk about not just the short term, what do I need for the upcoming year, but what does this decision look like long term. However, a high deductible Plan G is a nice alternative for some people, and it is something to explore if you are someone that frequently travels, and potentially, is in relatively good health in the sense that you're not consuming a lot of care. So you're not seeing the physicians very often, because this is one way that you can limit your premium expenses. However, you also have the other alternative of Medicare Advantage that completely eliminates your premium expenses aside from Medicare premiums. So got a lot of choices when you get to Medicare eligibility.
Absolutely. In a situation like this, I would invite our texter to come on in, either sit down with myself or Frank, and let's put eyes on every plan. Let's do the math, do the walking and the talking, and let's see what comes out ahead.
That was a great text, and I think we probably should take break number 2 so we can get a few more minutes in of talking time before we have hour number 2.
Absolutely. So don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement right after these brief messages.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
It's cold. So bring the heat with Dogtown Pizza. Warm up these winter months with one of 13 different flavors, from the new SOB, sausage, onion, bacon, to a 4-meat or veggie. Or how about the all-star this time of year? I'm looking at you, hot chicken. Heat up those ovens and warm up those bones with a hot Dogtown Pizza. And tell Jack Frost to take a hike. These cold winter months are upon us, so take a trek to Dogtown. Dogtown Pizza, of course.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
For all of your travel needs, you go to the best travel agency in the world. Granted, I'm a little biased. Altair Travel and Cruises. They'll take you wherever you want to go in style. They'll handle all the details. You handle all the fun. Don't go to the Googles. Don't make that mistake. It all starts at Altair Travel and Cruises on Brentwood Boulevard, 314-968-9600. Anywhere you want to go, let Altair Travel take you. AltairTravel.com. Over the years, Lordo's has become part of the family for many, many St. Louis families. For 80 years, they've been helping St. Louis families with all of the jewelry needs, whether it's the diamond ring, a diamond ring, maybe something for St. Patrick's Day, something for an anniversary, Valentine's Day. Throughout the years and throughout the calendar, it's Lordo's as your go-to. Whether it's men or women, you want to repurpose something or buy something new, Lordo's Diamonds in the heart of Ladue on Clayton Road. You see, it's a family business. The family's been running it for years, and they learned it from their father, who learned it from their father. And so that family jeweler is where generations of St. Louisans go. Grandparents have gone there. Your grandkids will go there. Right there in Ladue on Clayton Road, across the street from a Norman Rockwell-esque firehouse. is Lordo's Diamonds. Go in, make a friend, and make them your family jeweler, because you can thank me later. 314-432-8008 or online, lordosdiamonds.com.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, we're back for the last couple minutes of hour number one of Straight Talk on Retirement. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And our text line is hot and heavy, so let's get right on with it. Our next texter writes, good morning. Is a portion of your annuity withdrawals not taxed? In your experience with your clients, which type of annuity best serves a married couple looking to create a stipend of $1,000 a month? I understand this is a very general question. Understood. Well, let's take it from the top about the portion of the annuity withdrawal payments not being taxed. That is true, because part of that payment is a return of principal. So
that's only, but there's caveats to that, which is the annuity has to be outside of a retirement account.
Correct.
And you have to have annuitized your annuity in order to receive a portion being non-taxable and a portion being taxable. So you want to be careful with that. Dad, why don't you jump in really quickly to talk about the second part of the question?
Which is, what's the best kind to have?
Best kind to have for a married couple looking to generate about $1,000 a month.
Well, again, I think, Aaron, you've made a very good point in terms of how money is being brought out of an annuity contract. In terms of the type of annuity, I think it really depends on whether you want to have any portion of that principal amount that you're putting in to be able to be returned to family members after your passing, that is, after you and your spouse is passing. If that isn't a concern for you and you're looking at really taking a chunk of capital and making it into the highest income stream that you can for husband and wife, then you would look at what's called an immediate annuity. So the payments are going to be made immediately. That's why they call it an immediate annuity for you. It'll be a monthly income. Well, actually, you can take it monthly, quarterly, annually, etc. A portion of the money that will be returned to you will be principal. Some of it will be interest. It'll be a fixed amount over a period of time that you would choose, whether it's a certain period, like 10 or 15 years, or it could be a lifetime income for you and your spouse. That would be the most efficient, the highest payout type of a contract. But again, there are other contracts, whether they're fixed annuities or variable annuities, that frankly could give you some investment possibility of gains.
I think that
while locking in a guaranteed income stream for life as well. It would be a lower amount, percentage, lower dollar amount, but again, having the opportunity to pass on capital to the people you love.
Right. The first example in an immediate annuity, you're going to give up any principal that you contribute to an immediate annuity via premium payment. When you begin to annuitize that contract immediately, you've now given up that principal, given it to the insurance company in exchange for the income stream that they've created for you. There are alternatives where you are putting liquidity restrictions on the principal that you invest with an insurance company, but you're not necessarily giving that principal up in order to receive income. I think because this question is so general, that my recommendation would be that you use a few guidelines to help you determine what the best option for you would be. The first, just like you said, Dad, would be, do you want the opportunity to pass some of these assets along to your children or beneficiaries or churches, whatever the case may be? Or are you okay with giving up a portion of your wealth to generate income for yourself and your spouse now, and then you'll have the balance of your wealth available to you to pass along? So that's an important first question. The second thing I would consider before we have to jump off here is, do we need the income for both of your lives at the same amount while you're both here, or will there be a variable if one of you passes away? Because you definitely want to make sure that the contracts have joint options, or that you have elected the joint and survivor option if you are both going to be in need of $1,000 a month for life. We'll be back after these messages.
Paid program are those of the host, callers, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this station, its management, or owners. This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice in making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to hour number 2 of Straight Talk on Retirement. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Aaron Lapidus, the retirement coach.
And I'm Robert Markham, your life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
And we are willing, waiting, and wanting again to answer your phones, calls, and texts at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And before we start going on to, we'll call it new business, what I'd like to do is to go back and add a couple of comments, honey, if I may, in regard to our last text question.
About what is the best type of annuity, for everyone that held through the break for us, or new people that just tuned in, what is the best type of an annuity for a couple that is looking to generate $1,000 a month of income?
What I really liked about this text question is that our texter really focused in on the functionality of a tool that we do use in our practice.
What they need.
Which are annuities.
Right.
Exactly. Understanding that annuities are not just accumulation vehicles, which they can be, but also their ultimate purpose is to distribute income, generally a fixed income amount, over a period of time. And we know from our practice with clients for the last 25 years is that creating more certainty for cash flow makes for a more fun retirement. I mean, period. So the type of annuity that you're choosing, I think, again, really is going to be based upon your needs, how it fits into your game plan. And I would just, mention as an aside here, which I think I'm permitted to, is that after usually a long discussion with clients about their income needs, the ability to pass on that income that cash flow, that capital to their heirs is an important component. They don't want to give up the money. There are situations, though, where because clients are, what's the nice way to put it? Their income requirements are higher than a prudent withdrawal rate, that we are sometimes forced to try to figure out how can we get the highest fixed income we can with a level of certainty, and therefore an immediate annuity is something to choose. But generally, we're using other annuity contracts that have withdrawal provisions that can be flexible for clients. And so it is a tool, but like anything else, you have to use the right tool for the job that you're facing. And again,
I also thought
it's a good.
I was going to just add there, because
we
were kind of talking about criteria that you added a couple to. So, when do you need the income to begin? That is one that you just jogged my thoughts on as another criteria that you would want to use. An immediate annuity, like we started this conversation discussing, says that you need the income immediately. Maybe you are looking down the road at your retirement.
Yeah, you're still working.
And
you don't need the income now, but you will.
And you're seeing that you have a $1,000 deficit.
Right.
And you would like security in that you'd like that gap to be filled with something secure. So you have time to accumulate money before you get to the distribution portion of the annuity contract or the income portion. So that might open up other doors that will allow you to defer payments if you've decided it's going to be an annuity, or defer your withdrawals if you're going to use a withdrawal strategy. This is an opportunity, I think, for you to take advantage of chatting with a professional, because they are going to, and hopefully they will have access to not only the products that you have seen, but maybe some other options, give you some alternatives for planning that you might not have thought of. Going it alone on making a decision like this, you might just be not seeing the whole field.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to go this alone. Because annuities can be they can be relatively straightforward, or these can be complicated financial instruments, and you don't want to go it alone when having to choose how much money to put into one, if one is even right for you. You want to get a couple of opinions on this before you pull the trigger.
Well, and for us, it's easy. All you need to do is give us a call. These are perfect questions to ask during coaching sessions, 314-863-0008, or you can always send us an email, Jeff or Aaron at jblfinancial.com.
That's right.
And our next texter writes, I'm 75 years old with a moderate savings base. What do you think about reverse mortgages?
They're expensive.
No, they're very expensive, because what's happening is that you're pushing expense and the cash flow on the front end, and a bank, obviously, or financial institution is taking responsibility.
Dad, could you briefly explain a reverse mortgage for everyone? Because I think these are things,
sure.
You see it on TV and you see what's Mr. Winkler advertising it, and it looks like, oh, this is great.
Well, what you're basically saying is, I don't want my house anymore.
Okay.
I don't want to pass that on to that value to the people I love. So what you're doing is you're basically taking out a loan for a portion of you can't get the whole full market value. There are limits federally on how much you can get. And what happens is that becomes a line of credit for you. You can pull out as a lump sum, you can take it as an income stream, et cetera, and the interest continues to compound on that loan.
Mm-hmm.
When you leave that residence, whether on purpose or not,
so if you pass away or you want to leave because you need assisted living or something like that,
right? Then what happens is the financial institution that owns your home, because that's where they really own it, they'll sell it. They'll take the proceeds, they'll pay off themselves for the loan, their obligation, and then at the same time, if there was anything left, that would then go to your family.
So
the only time that I have seen this being used in our market area, because is that we're typically seeing honestly, it's widows, okay, et cetera, that don't have family members to leave money to, and what they're interested in doing is boosting their income, or in many cases, they don't have an income base. What their primary asset is their home, and this is a way for them to access it. It's a very expensive way to do it, and frankly, it's not a...
We say it's expensive because there are a lot of charges, right? There are a lot of expense for you to go through this process with a bank.
Well, it is, and of course, as they're going on the hook for the money on the front end, and they don't really know when they're going to be selling the property, it becomes very expensive for you in terms of the fees. You may not care because you don't want the property anymore, but the bottom line is that if I had 10 planning tools of how to create income for folks, this one is number 12.
So, okay, I just have a general question, which is, let's say that you go through the process and you have received $100,000 from the bank in a reverse mortgage, and you spend all of it.
Yikes.
You don't get any more, obviously, from the bank. But is there ever a point where the bank can kick you out of the house? Because your loan amount has exceeded, the interest has compounded past the loan amount?
No. What
I
are you
take
making?
a big chunk.
4 or 5, right. I mean, how do I deal with that 10 years that I have to distribute the money? If that's going to put me into an IRMA-eligible situation where I have to pay more, how many years do I really want to have to pay more? So this is the joy of for us, it's an algebra problem. And you want to make sure that you're working with someone that really understands the algebra behind it. Don't take it all on yourself. You certainly want to get a second opinion. And if you're paying somebody as a financial advisor, they should be capable in performing these calculations for you.
Well, we have our first caller on the line this morning.
Hey, guys.
Good morning.
I just got a question for you with these required distributions with the IRAs when you reach a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get that money and the government takes their cut out of that distribution, then the money you get, is that considered income for you where you're taxed at the end of the year?
Yes. It's considered ordinary income.
Taxed. So you basically get
no, you're not. The total distribution is the taxable amount, and what's happening is that the custodian is doing you a service by sending the taxes for you. So you're taxed on what the total amount is. You're not taxed twice.
Think about it like a paycheck. When you were working, or if you still are working, you're never receiving the gross amount of your pay. Your employer is always sending money off to the federal and state government on your behalf. You're receiving the net amount. Then at the end of the year, you get a W-2 that reflects everything that happened. This is very similar. But instead of earned income through wages, this is going to be considered ordinary income, where if your custodian is withholding money for you for taxes, at the end of the year, you're going to get a 1099 that reflects, I took X out, but Y and Z already went off to the federal and state government to reflect that I've already paid some of what I owe. You won't owe more. You won't owe more on the net amount.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Absolutely. Thanks for the call. It's a great question.
Oh, getting double dipped like that?
It wouldn't be shocking.
Right. Well, I'm sure we made that caller's day by demystifying some of the RMD tax equations.
That's right. Well, you know what? We're already at our first break of hour number 2.
And we haven't even got through our gaggle of texts, so we'll be back right after these brief messages with the rest of your texts and hopefully some of our topics. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
This is KTRS St. Louis, the Big 550, and KTRS.com.
Look at our alums, the contributions that they have made throughout industries in the St. Louis region.
Terry Freerks, a graduate of the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
UMSL is embedded in the fabric of the St. Louis community. We're hands-on, and when our students graduate, they are definitely career ready, but maybe more importantly, they're career confident.
More is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
What happens when your first responder doesn't come home?
I was a widow. How was I going to survive? How were my kids going to survive, knowing that their husband and their father wasn't coming home?
Fortunately, since 1959, Backstoppers has been there to help.
Backstoppers showed up. They were just ready to embrace me.
Without them, I don't feel like we would have been the family that we are today.
It's the 6th annual KTRS Backstoppers Radiothon, Thursday, January 29. KTRS will salute the tremendous work Backstoppers is doing, and we're asking you to join us in supporting the safety net for first responders in Missouri and Illinois.
They don't forget the fallen. And that means that they don't forget the families.
The KTRS Radiothon to support the Backstoppers is presented in part by Lacey Lumber, Mamas on the Hill, Baldy Electric, Golden Oak Lending, St. Pod GM Country, Overstock Outlet, WS Window and Door, Cutest Funeral Homes, Fielder Electric, Holton Patterson CPAs, and KTRS Cares.
Backstoppers is there for you, now and forever.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, we're back here on the Big 550 KTRS. What a great commercial. Love the Backstoppers, supporting folks that are doing their thing, and we just certainly appreciate your listening in this morning. Our phone lines are open. We're here to talk to you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the KTRS text line.
And our next texter writes, my dad has been in a skilled nursing facility, bedridden, and gets his health care at the facility. He has a quote-unquote J Medicare supplement plan, and I'm not sure the value of it.
So Medicare Part J supplements have been discontinued for, I think, about 10 years now at this point. So probably not getting a lot of information on them. However, that supplement is helping defray some of the ongoing medical costs for your dad. Nothing under Medicare is going to cover extended stays in skilled nursing. So after 100 days in a facility, Medicare no longer picks anything up. Doesn't matter what type of supplement you have. However, if you're a resident of a skilled nursing facility, a nursing home as they used to be called, then all of the medical care, so doctor's visits, medication, that's still going to be covered under the supplement and Medicare. It's just his stay in the facility is no longer covered. So you are getting benefit from it. I certainly would not drop it. It actually is one of the few supplements that used to include prescription drug coverage. So you're actually getting a little bit of extra benefit that some other people have to add that prescription drug plan. Plan J actually includes prescription drug coverage as well. So I would hang on to it. I know that I'm sure dad's bills are very expensive being in a facility, but Medicare is helping to defray some of the ongoing maintenance costs for dad in terms of medical care. That was all. Guys, you're so quiet.
No, I'm always unsure if Jeff is going to jump in, so I don't want to just step on people's toes.
I don't mess with the Medicare mavens. That's all I can tell you.
All right, and our next texter writes, good morning, y'all. I came in on the end of what Erin said about reinvesting RMDs, so did I hear her correctly? You can just take and then reinvest the RMDs.
Yes! It just... Where? It's got to be in an after-tax account. So you can't take the required minimum distribution and put it into a new IRA account and take a deduction. You can't take your required minimum distribution and move it into a Roth. They said no to that, too. But you can take your required minimum distribution out of your IRA. So you withdraw the money, and then you can redirect it into your bank account, into an investment account, into an account with the bank and buy a CD, into an investment account and buy whatever you'd like, into your bank account and go out and have a nice vacation. So once you've taken the required minimum distribution, you're free to do with it what you would like, except for put it into another IRA or put it into a Roth IRA.
So you got a couple of limitations, but you can get that money reinvested. Sure. So if you're listening, Dad. Okay.
We swear we didn't write that in.
Right. It's just so funny how these things work themselves out. And our next texter writes, am I correct in assuming that if you are on Medicare, you cannot open a new HSA account or contribute to an existing account.
That is correct. If you have a health savings account through your former coverage, you cannot continue to add to it once you have taken Medicare Part A. So you have to be careful here, too. So let's say you are still working and you've turned 65 and your employer's plan has a health savings account attached to it. Do not sign up for Medicare Part A because that will eliminate your ability to contribute to the health savings account because you no longer have a high deductible plan according to the government any longer because Medicare Part A is now going to come in and help back you up. So when you enroll in Medicare, you are going to lose your ability to contribute to HSAs or open HSAs, but you can use those funds for expenses. So if you transition onto Medicare with health savings account dollars, you can use those dollars to pay for things on Medicare. You just cannot add to your health savings account any longer. The only caveat to that is if you have a Medicare savings account, which you can't contribute to, but the government does it for you, and like we talked about previously, those are limited policies that I don't even know are available in Missouri or Illinois anymore. I would assume they're not if we don't know about them.
And our next texter writes, "Good morning. I'm starting to get my RMD quarterly this year, and my advisor has advised withholding 10% for taxes. Is that enough?"
Guess it depends on what tax bracket you're in. What were you going to say, Dan?
Generally, we withhold at least 15% for federal. And if you're in Missouri, we'll withhold some for the state. Illinois, we don't have to.
Right, because if you are married filing jointly, the first threshold is $89,000 to be in the 12% tax bracket. So we like to put a little buffer in there. We usually withhold 15% unless we're confident, unless we've been told otherwise, either don't withhold taxes or withhold a specific dollar amount. We're always pegging it to at least 15% federal. So you might want to ask for a bump up, potentially.
All right.
Sounds good.
And our next texter writes, "Good morning. Regarding the texter that asked you about annuity to generate $1,000 a month in income, if someone has the funds to invest in something that would generate $1,000 a month in income, that aren't there other things they could put the money into besides an annuity that wouldn't come with all the fees like an annuity does, i.e. corporate bonds or government bonds?"
So I would say okay, go ahead, Dad.
Go ahead, babe.
Oh, I was just going to say.
You want me to take that?
Go ahead.
Okay. The answer is yes. There certainly are. You certainly could purchase income-oriented securities. In today's interest rates, you may have to put in more than the potential withdrawal percentage rate from an annuity contract. Number two, you could also invest in the market and hope that the gains that you receive could be skimmed for income purposes. I mean, there's lots of ways of doing that. The annuity contract is, frankly, the only one that's out there that provides the certainty in writing that the income payments are going to continue. So based upon your portfolio, based upon your desire for certainty of income, will lead you to a decision about whether you actually use an annuity for all or part of that. Interestingly enough, one of the things that we query our clients about is, when we get to the end of our discussions with them in coaching sessions, where we've come up with a dollar amount that we are responsible to deliver to them as an income stream, our question is, how much of that would you like to be safe from market risk? Bonds aren't safe from market risk. We know that when interest rates go up, bond values go down. We also know that with in bad economic times, if you're depending on dividends, companies can change their dividends. They're not locked in. Sometimes you're omitted. So depending upon the level of certainty and the percentage of certainty you want from that income stream will really lead you as to whether an annuity is an appropriate tool for you in some part or none.
Right,
or
and
all.
Fees are an important component of making a decision as to what you are planning to invest in, but in most cases, no investing is free. So there's always going to be some fee associated with it. You know, if you buy a mutual fund, there is usually a 12B1 fee associated with that fund. If you are making purchases through a broker, maybe you are paying ticket charges. So that's a very important component. Also, annuities vary in the fees that they charge depending upon the type that you select. So it's in any type of investment.
You get to stay in the home as long as you're on the planet until the time you decide to leave, and that's when the financial institution, usually a bank, will take possession of the property and then sell it. But no, they don't kick you out. They don't want to kick you out. They can't do it.
And so it's part of the risk that the financial institution is taking, in that you are going to leave the house before the interest exceeds the loan that they offered you, so then they can make money on the deal, essentially.
Absolutely, because what they're doing is they're accumulating the interest, and they're compounding that interest as well as what you owe.
Right.
So generally, unless someone passes away very quickly, the bank isn't going to get repaid. And the other thing is that there are limits.
That's why they don't let you take the full amount. I'm sure even if there weren't federal limits, the bank would be like, we're not going to give you the full home amount, because you'd have to pass away tomorrow for us to make money on this.
Well, I think what happens is they actually kind of resell these back to – they can resell these back to the government, to Fannie or Freddie. So what happens is you can go to the AARP website. They do have a nice discussion as well as a calculator there on loans. But generally, you can't pull more than, I want to say it's like $120,000. So it's not you have $1 million home and, oh, by the way, you're going to get $900,000 from the bank. Not going to work that way. So if you're really considering this, or you just want to get some information, go to the AARP website. They have a very good Q&A. It's in English, which is why I could figure it out. Well,
I mean, I think, Dad, you made a great point with both of these last questions, which is, you're obvious. Our first question about annuities and generating income, we're obviously in need of $1,000 a month income. Is the annuity the right approach? What annuity? So what tool? And then with this question, the reverse mortgage is also a tool to get us more income, most likely, is what it sounds like is the usual use for a reverse mortgage. And, Dad, you said this is like the tool that you left at home and now you got to go drive back to the house to get if we really got to use it. So maybe taking a look, doing some more research on the reverse mortgage, but then also having a conversation with an investment professional to determine, hey, is this the only option that we have left available to us?
Absolutely. And this is generally, again, used with folks that are in difficult financial situations. I mean, think of the other commercials you see on TV about selling your life insurance policy.
Oh, the viaticals? Well,
exactly, which, frankly, we're not even permitted to, through the SEC, to even discuss.
Right.
With clients. But, frankly, that would be maybe a better option as compared to, basically giving your home away to the bank, because that's eventually what's going to happen. You do get some equity out, but you got to do a little research. It may not be as much as you want. And truthfully, if you get, like you said, honey, if you get into a situation where you really need some help in terms of doing income planning, having somebody turn over the stones that you don't even know exist, that's really a good reason to go visit with a financial advisor, because they should be able to provide you with information that you don't have.
Right.
And when they fill those holes in, then you'll be in a position we know with our clients, we think that people make better choices when they have more information, incredible information. So that's good.
Right.
Absolutely. And our next texter writes, good morning. What are the pros and cons of a health savings account, and how does it work?
Oh, so this is a specific one to not just a health savings account, but Medicare health savings account. Or Medicare savings account, rather. So Medicare savings accounts, now I actually don't know if in the state of Missouri they are even available any longer. There was one company that was so in order to have a Medicare savings account, you have to elect a Medicare Advantage plan that is conducive to a Medicare savings account. So these are specific types of Medicare Advantage plans that give you access to a what looks like a health savings account. So you have to be Medicare eligible. You never get to contribute any of your own money to a Medicare savings account. What happens is the government contributes money into this Medicare savings account for you. So think about it like this. You receive a high deductible Medicare Advantage plan. So usually those are at about $2,800 to $3,000 a year of deductible that you have to meet. And you have no network, so you can see any physician that you'd like. So that's a little bit different than traditional Medicare Advantage plans. You also get to add a prescription drug plan to this. So you get to couple it with a prescription drug plan. So this is very different than most Medicare Advantage plans. In Missouri and Illinois, there was only one company sponsoring them 2 years ago. I don't even know if they're in the market anymore. I think they're fantastic because, like I said, you get the plan, which gives you access to whomever you'd like to see, as long as they will accept Medicare. You get a dollar amount deposited into your Medicare savings account from the federal government. You get to use those dollars to pay for copays to the doctor, co-insurance if you're admitted to the hospital. Anything that happens medically related that's covered under Medicare, you can use those dollars for. You can even use them to fill prescriptions if you would like. Once you run out of the money inside of that Medicare savings account, you have to pay out of pocket till you meet your deductible, and then you're done paying for the rest of the year. So and usually these Medicare savings account plans have zero premium associated with them. And the other cool thing is that money that the government deposited into the account for you, it rolls over every year. So if you have a particularly good year, you don't use the money, you get to keep it in that account, use it for Medicare-covered expenses, and let it keep rolling. So I think if you are somebody that used a health savings account while you were working, you like the high deductible style of plan, this is a great alternative. You get a little bit of money from the government to help you pay. If you already had a health savings account prior to being Medicare eligible, you can't combine the account, so you can't roll the HSA dollars into the Medicare savings account plan, but you can use your health savings account to pay for things. Medicare Part B premiums, when the Medicare savings account runs out for the year, you still have some HSA dollars left. You can have it come in and pick those up for you, pick up those expenses. So you have a lot of good options with those. I like them. They're just not readily available because they are, just like it took me several minutes to explain, a very brief example of what they might look like. They're a little bit more complicated, and they're not as popular when we look at the options like the supplemental plans where people feel like they're not paying anything at all. We all know you're paying premium. It's coming right out of your bank account, but
Absolutely.
You don't feel that way because those direct deductions or automatic deductions are kind of sneaky that way, but you don't pay when you go to the doctor for anything or if you're admitted to the hospital. So that's appealing. Or then a Medicare Advantage plan where you have a maximum out of pocket, but you get co-pays as you go. So it's a little bit more palatable for people. So I think this is like a third. If we're talking about the toolbox again, most people look at this as their third choice. However, I think, it's definitely in contention.
I think my favorite part of the lettered plans is the no networks.
It is nice that you don't have to, if you're somebody you don't want to check every year, you don't want to go through the admin of maintaining your Medicare Advantage plan, but that's all about what are you willing and wanting to pay for. So
Right, absolutely. And our next texter writes, is your show recorded so I can listen after the show is over? Is there a web link? I can't always listen to at your time slot, or sometimes I miss segments when I'm out in the store and I don't have my earbuds to hear everything. Thanks.
Well, I just really totally appreciate you want to hear every word. It's great.
We're like the soundtrack to people's lives out there.
Yes, we do. So if you go onto the KTRS website, under weekend shows, all of our shows are posted there. You could also go onto our website, jblfinancial.com, and all of the shows that have been approved by compliance are posted there for you to download and listen to. They're also available on all of the podcast platforms, so whichever podcasting platform you prefer, you can access our approved shows through there, but usually KTRS might have them up a little bit faster.
Absolutely. And our next texter, love this one. Can I take an RMD and roll it into a Roth to grow tax-free for the kids?
Only if you want an orange jumpsuit. Unfortunately, you're not permitted to roll distributions from a required minimum distributions into a Roth. In fact,
you have to do more,
or do a conversion. If you want to do a Roth conversion, which is what that is, you first have to take your RMD and then you do the conversion after that.
Right. So,
but not with the same money.
Using a great example that we had just from this past Friday, we have a client that over the last decade has been doing $10,000 Roth conversions every year, but he is RMD eligible now. So he had about a $2,500 required minimum distribution. So we said, no problem, my man, we're going to send that out to you this week. So you're going to get the $2,500 less the taxes. That completed your required minimum distribution. Now we'll do that $10,000 conversion. So his full taxable distribution for the year was $12,500. He had to take the required minimum distribution, and he still wanted to proceed with the Roth conversion because he was in quite a low tax bracket. So, and he's been doing this for, he's converted $100,000 over 10 years. So it's taken him a minute to get there, but that's what he's wanted to do. So we've helped facilitate that, but it's gotten more expensive now that he's gotten into required minimum distribution age because he's got to take the RMD. You can't put that in the Roth. And then you got to take more. And you got to pay taxes on all of it. So.
Good question.
Yes.
And our next texter writes, I'm a beneficiary of a friend's IRA. When the time comes for me to inherit that and take on his current RMD schedule, his taxes should be held out by his custodian on his behalf. But after that year, and all those RMDs will end up on my return as additional income, I'll have my own RMDs to claim also. I'll just need to watch the income-related monthly income amount. If I transfer the IRA over to my broker, how will those distributions work?
So you have it exactly correct. If you are the non-spousal beneficiary of an IRA, you are going to have to inherit your donors, so to speak, required minimum distribution schedule. When you do inherit those funds, the distributions will be taxable to you. If you turn that beneficiary IRA, which is what it will become, over to a broker, depending upon the services that they offer you, you can have that required minimum distribution set up to come to you systematically every year. So every December 10th, you want the money, they can send it to you. You can request that the taxes be withheld. Usually they request direct deposit. We prefer to do it that way as well, as opposed to having checks mailed. However, checks usually can be mailed as well if you would prefer it that way. Or you can set it up with a broker. You just call and tell them when you want to take the money. Or you could set it up, I want to take monthly income, and as long as it hits that required minimum distribution amount, then you'll be good for the year. So it really, all brokers have the services to distribute funds to you, but depending upon your broker, you're going to want to find out what services they offer and how they offer them to you, what you need to do to get it set up.
Honey, I was thinking about the other part of this question, which was about how this is going to affect Irma.
Yes.
If you're in a situation, and obviously this particular texter has seen the writing on the wall, I think it's really important for them to consider visiting with their financial advisor and really taking a look at what their total cash flow is going to be from the year. Mm-hmm. Because we also know that with that IRA they inherit, not only do they inherit the donors' RMD schedule, but they also have to have that account emptied within 10 years. So how you take that income, how it's going to affect your income over the 10-year period is going to be extremely important. And we know that in many cases that we've had with clients that have inherited IRAs from their parents that are getting money, we've had to do a total cash flow game plan revisit so that we're making sure that they're trying to, as much as we can, to stay under those IRMA limits and at the same time getting the cash flow that they need. So you may want to make sure that your total cash flow is being reviewed.
That's a really great point, because not just are you inheriting the required minimum distribution schedule, you have an additional caveat of making sure that's liquidated after the 10th year after the person's passed away that you inherited those funds from. So it can have a big impact on your income needs. And like you said, a lot of times what we're doing is we're relying more heavily on the inherited assets and we're able to take our foot off the gas, so to speak, of your assets, because we know the inherited assets have to be liquidated within that 10-year period. Yours do not. You might be on a schedule of when we have to make distributions, but
we don't have to liquidate them.
Exactly. So it's important to have
the other thing that was going through my mind here was, if these distributions could cause you to be subject to IRMA, then you might want to say, hey, do I want to have 10 years worth of my Medicare premiums affected, or maybe just one?
Regardless of if we're looking to generate income, fees are an important component of the decision-making process.
Honey, if you don't mind, let me come back to answer this question in a way that maybe our texter didn't consider.
Okay.
The fees that are associated with annuity contracts are never levied against the income that you receive. Where the fees really come into impact is upon the amount of capital that's available at the time of your passing.
Right, what's left over for your beneficiaries, potentially.
Exactly. And that's something that folks may not realize, is that, let's use an example if we can. In most variable annuity contracts, when we consider what they call the mortality and expense fee, that's basically the insurance company's charge for the contract, and any other riders can usually run up to 3%. Well, if there's a withdrawal privilege of, let's say, and you're withdrawing $1,000 a month, and let's just say you had $200,000 annuity, that might generate $6,000 in fees. That $500 a month, in theory, of fees isn't being put against the $1,000 a month you receive of income.
It's put against the balance of the account.
Exactly. So it's not really a question of what are you being charged. It's a question of what are you actually getting. Is the tool the right tool for you in terms of fitting? And for most of the people that we're working with, in those situations where the certainty of income is more important to them, plus the ability to pass that income on after their death, is also a reason why many folks take a look at, hey, should I take this pension plan for my company, or should I roll it over and maybe consider purchasing an annuity contract where I control the cash value, not the pension plan? So, again, all these things really come down to a very personalized decision by you. And at the same time, advice from your advisor, understanding where you actually ultimately want to go. Annuities aren't right for every person, but they're also, in many cases, not wrong. So I hope that helps.
That is excellent. We still have dozens of text questions to get to, but I think we should take our second break and last break of this hour. When we get back, we're going to try to speed run through everyone's questions so we can at least get everyone an answer this week. If not, we'll just carry them over to next week. So stay tuned. Don't touch that dial.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Charles, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Are you or a family member needing to sell your home? Then call me, Mike Robinson with Robank Properties. I will buy your home in any condition and always as is. Call me at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. No contingencies, no inspections, just cold hard cash. I'll save you time and money. So make that call now and let me buy your house. RobankProperties.com. That's ROBANG Properties.com.
The Big 550 wants you to know that when it comes to local news, KTRS is committed to keeping you informed with all the local news going on.
I'm Rose Dalton, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Jill Enders, KTRS News.
With KTRS News, I'm Steve Paul. This is KTRS News, I'm Sobe Bay.
And when it comes to national and world news, the Big 550 has the resources and backing of ABC News.
I'm Sherry Preston from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen.
Delivering what you need to know and keep informed. We are the talk of St. Louis, the Big 550, KTRS. KTRS.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement. Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Your dentures no longer fit? Maybe you're missing a tooth or several teeth. Visit Dr. Bowen for Simply Secure Dentures and Dental Implants. The cutting-edge, high-quality dental implants that replace all the teeth in your mouth, and it starts as low as $7,000, not the $35,000 that others charge. If you're only missing a few teeth, Dr. Bowen can permanently replace those with something you don't have to take in and out of your mouth. Learn more at simplysecuredentures.com and get the care you need and the teeth you want at Bowen Dental Care or simplysecuredentures.com.
This is KTRS St. Louis, the Big 550, and KTRS.com. Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550, KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, we're back. We've got about 8.5 minutes left in the show. Let's get to that text line, baby.
And our next texter writes, hey, I just wanted to let Rob know that the other day I got the chance to use his acronym for BOAT with my siblings, and they all laughed. Well, I'm glad that you
Bust out another 1,000.
It's one of my favorite, and it wasn't me that came up with that. I got that from Pawn Stars, Chumley, and Harrison, and the guys down there. Whenever someone brought in a boat, the old man was like, bust out another 1,000.
Look at you giving credit. I love it.
No, I can't. I'd love to take credit for that one, but just can't. And our next texter writes, I recently lost my husband this past November. I'm sorry to hear that. And I was wondering if I had to do anything to change his IRA, or do I just keep it in his name and take the required minimum distribution?
So this is a great question that isn't necessarily a simple answer. So you do have the ability to leave it in your husband's name and continue to take his required minimum distributions. If you don't need that money and you're younger than your spouse was, you can roll those funds into your IRA account, and then you get to reset the required minimum distribution schedule to one of your own. If you happen to be under the age that you're able to take distributions from retirement accounts at all, and your husband was obviously old enough to take distributions, you might need to leave the money in his account so you can continue to take those distributions. So the short answer is you are allowed to leave it, but you don't have to. So you might want to work with someone to determine what's the best option for you moving forward with those funds, because you do have some choices.
And the nice thing is that because it was your spouse who you've inherited this IRA from, you're also not subject to the 10-year distribution rule.
That's right. And you also aren't if you leave it in his name, you are subject to continuing taking his required minimum distribution amount. But if you rolled it into yours, you wouldn't be. So you got flexibility. I would take advantage.
I would certainly say, and I think what's kind of nice here is, let's say there was a discrepancy in ages. Mm-hmm. What you really could do is you could leave enough in his IRA to make the required minimum distributions equal to your cash flow needs, then take a portion of it, move it to your IRA. Again, that's a tax-free transfer, and let that other money accumulate. All good.
Lots of choices.
And our next texter writes, I am planning on retiring in September of this year after my 65th birthday.
Congratulations.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
I will have made around $90,000 for the year at that point. Will my Social Security be penalized if I draw my Social Security on October 1st? Thanks.
No. The first year you elect your Social Security benefit, they're going to give you a grace period. They're going to give you a do-over, so to speak. So they're going to look at your income moving forward from the day that you elect your benefit. If you have no earned income, they won't penalize you for having earned the $90,000 previously. Now, if you do continue to earn income, then they will begin the take-back. So just be careful on that. The second thing, since you're getting ready to pull the trigger on things, just remember, if you you want your first Social Security check to be delivered in October, you need to elect a September effective date for your Social Security benefit. So when you're in the system and you're electing your benefit, that would be around June is going to be the earliest that you can do it. You're going to want to pick September for your start date, which will get you $265. Then your first check will arrive in October. If you elect October as your start date, your first check will not arrive until November. So it's important to keep that in mind just for cash flow purposes, or to keep a little extra cash on hand so you're not expecting something that you're not going to receive.
Very, very smart. And our next texter writes, can I contribute to a Roth IRA after I start getting my Social Security?
If you're working.
That's what I was thinking.
Right, if you have earned income.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I did just get a call about this on Friday, that some of the rules have been changed as to contributions to retirement accounts. There's no age limitation on contributions. However, there is a work limitation, which means you have to have earned income in order to make contributions to Roths or traditional IRA accounts. So if you're working and you're 90, you can still make a contribution. I don't know why you'd necessarily want to, but you can. The
earned
caveat
income
is earned income.
Wages.
Wages. Right, not ordinary income, not, it can't be pension or anything like that. So.
All righty. And our next texter writes, great show. Glad you love it. Thanks for making my morning drive to Chicago go much quicker. Can you do an extra hour, please?
I don't think the Inside Out show would like that, but I think what you could tell, we could keep going for another hour.
Do you guys talk shop at family holiday dinners? We talk shop practically. It doesn't have to be a family holiday dinner. It could just be just a walk around the corner. We're always talking shop.
We do talk shop frequently. However, we only yell at each other in the office, so... We got to keep something separate.
I like to put a caveat on that. I know that you guys may be talking shop when you go home, but as far as I'm concerned, whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I don't talk shop with your mom, and we really don't talk shop when we have family gatherings.
That's fair. Unless it's Monopoly time.
Right.
Got to make a deal.
That's right. When it's time to make deals, then we hear about who has the expertise in financial planning.
All right, and our next texter, love this one. I have a beneficiary IRA that contains stock. I have to liquidate this IRA by 2030. Do I have to sell this stock? I would like to keep it. What are my choices?
So you are going to have to liquidate the account.
By 2030. You know that already.
Right, which means that as you are taking distributions, you might consider repurchasing the stock outside. If you want to keep it, you want to consider repurchasing the shares outside of your retirement account. So as you're taking the distribution, maybe you sold X number of shares of a position, you make that sale, and then in a separate account with the proceeds, you'll buy X number of shares of that same security. But unfortunately, I don't think most broker-dealers will allow you to transition the assets
intact.
Thank you. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to liquidate and sell the stock that you like. But if you have an after-tax account that you could direct those funds into, you can get reinvested probably within a day or two. So you shouldn't miss a beat. Sounds like you have it all. I mean, you already know what you have to do. It's just a matter of, do I really have to do it?
Yes, and the nice thing also is that that sale and purchase is not going to be linked together under the wash rule.
Right, because it's going to be outside.
You certainly, exactly, and the IRS isn't going to look at it as rebuying the same thing within 30 days. So go for it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And our next commenter writes, "You guys are the true rock stars. Is there a holding period to get the money that is rolled from an IRA to a Roth?"
So there is no holding period for you to get those funds, except for what your custodian says. There might be 24 hours for it to settle. But in order for proceeds to be non-taxable to you, the Roth needed to be in existence for 5 years. And if you're rolling from IRA to Roth, you probably wouldn't want to immediately take a distribution because the goal was you were paying taxes to do the conversion from IRA to Roth, and then you want to let it, grow for a while. But there are no limitations in pulling the money as long as you're over 59 and a half and it's been in existence for 5 years, so it could be tax-free. And we will see you all next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Be listening next week at 9 for more Straight Talk on Retirement with your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus, on the Big 550 KTRS.